So this class will be doing some therapeutics for the neck and strategizing some ways to make regular yoga poses a little kinder and safer to your neck. You're going to need a block and a blanket. And we're going to start off with the blanket opened in this fashion, something like this. You can have it a little doubled up if you have a big arc in your neck or your neck goes forward, or you can have it a little skinnier if you don't need a whole lot. And that's going to go at the end of your yoga mat. Make sure your shoulders are off the blanket. Your head is on it. You can snuggle up a little fabric under your neck if you like. And please bend your knees, setting your feet flat. If you'd like, you can rest your knees one on the other and place your hands down on your low abdomen. Close your eyes and come into your breath. Focus your awareness on your inhale and your exhale. Deep appreciation for each breath, for each moment. The vital force that the breath provides. And allow for a full breath in. A big sigh out, becoming fully present in this moment. You can keep your eyes closed or you can open them just a little bit. You can keep your hands on your belly or you can bring them by your sides. And you're going to drop your chin just a little bit towards your chest and press your head very, very lightly into the blanket. Relax. Bring one of your thumbs under your chin and press the head very lightly into the blanket, chin very lightly into the thumb without clenching your teeth. So have a little bit of separation between the top teeth and the bottom teeth. And relax. The effort should be about 20 to 30% of what you could push. You can take your other hand and place it on the front of your neck. As you push down lightly into the floor and lightly into the thumb under your chin, make sure that the muscles at the very front of the neck are not popping up, are not tensing excessively. There should be just a gentle tone there. And relax. We'll continue with some 5-second holds, just gently dropping the chin, lengthening the back of the neck. If you need to readjust at all, you can do so. And the muscles specifically that you don't want to have pop out at the front of the neck, they're called the sternocleidomastoids, and when you sit up, they make a V shape. So if you need to feel that, you can actually just lift your head off the blanket and feel how they pop out in a V, and then snuggle your head right back down, drop your chin, and access the much, much deeper muscles. So the muscles right on either side of the spine, right on either side of the trachea. 2 more 5-second holds, soft at the front of the neck, dropping through the chin, lengthening the muscles at the back of the neck, right at the base of the skull. Relax. And last one, 5-second hold, chin drops, press it down. And relax your arms. Let your head roll a little side to side. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue. Take a lion's breath if you'd like. And then draw your knees into your chest. Rock a little side to side. Set your feet flat and take them really wide apart from one another so that they're on the edges of your yoga mat. Open your arms into a T shape and just let your knees drop all the way to the right and all the way to the left. Back and forth a few times. one of your blocks. Start to flatten your back. Press through your feet. Rise your hips into a low bridge. You can take your block in either the low position or maybe the middle position, right under your sacrum. So that means not under your low back. Very top of the block, the part that's closest to your head, is maybe the lowest you could get away with wearing pants. So you're going to snuggle down back onto the block, and then take your hands now to your low ribs. Inhale fully. And as you exhale, gently nudge the low ribs backwards towards the floor. And straighten out your left leg. Okay. Activate that left leg. If you find that your ribs pop up, your low back pops up, or you can't get your heel to the floor, then what I recommend you doing is dropping your block down one level, or even doing this with something a little less height than a block. So if you're here and your low ribs can stay down and your leg can stay straight, draw your right knee into your chest. And I'm going to explain how this helps with the neck in just a moment. But for now, I want you to push your knee gently into your hands, scoop your low ribs back, and drop your chin. Left leg is really active. Spread all of your toes. And then draw your right knee in a little bit more, opening up at the front of the left hip. Settle your right foot down, bend your left knee, set your left foot down. Take a moment to neutralize, to get really neutral here in your supported bridge. And drawing your low ribs back, hands to the low ribs, straighten your right leg out. Draw your left knee up. Keep the low ribs down, keep the head gently pressing into the blanket. Wrap your hands around the front of the knee. Spread all of your toes. And at first I want you to push your knee into your hands a little bit so that you're actually pulling on your shoulders. Keep the jaw soft and your gaze soft. And then after a moment, you can draw the knee in a little closer to your chest. The muscle psoas starts at T12, which is your lowest thoracic vertebra, and L1. And it can pull that region forward and cause some counter problems in the neck. So please bend your right knee and set the foot flat. Lower your left foot to the floor. And then lift your hips to release your block over to the side. And I'd like for you to go up and down your spine a couple of times. As you go up and down your spine in this rolling bridge, please notice if there are any parts of your back that are a little more difficult to access. I want you to try to feel every vertebra on your back, every inch. Use your breath. Maybe try exhaling up and inhaling down. And this is a rolling bridge, as I mentioned a moment ago. So you don't have to stop or wait for cues. Just be aware of what's going on in your body. If you feel a little stretch at the top, you can hang out there, especially if you feel it at the back of the neck. You might also, once your hips are down to the floor, want to get rid of your blanket here. Just shove it a little bit out of your way. Make sure your neck is relaxed, and then do 2 or 3 more. At the top of the bridge, keep your ribs back and down. Next time you come down, set your hips over to the left side of your yoga mat. Draw your knees into your chest and keep them as close as you can. Let your knees drop over to the right. You're going to open your right arm straight out to the side, And you're gonna open your left arm in the other direction, so your arms form a T shape. It's a basic spinal twist. But you're gonna close the book by reaching your left arm up and over, trying to clap your left hand to your right hand. And then open the book. Look at your left hand if that's reasonable. And try to bring your left shoulder down to the floor. Close the book and open the book. So one of the simplest ways through a yoga practice to care for your neck is to care for your upper back. Your upper back, your thoracic spine, is really good at rotation. And when you lose rotation and you lose a neutral and mild ability to extend in your upper back, your neck is going to take a lot more of the hinging, a lot more of the rotation, a lot more of the motion here. By the way, since you kind of come onto your side here, if you want, you can grab your blanket again and have it under your head. That might feel a little bit more supportive. And if you don't have anything going on with your shoulder and it would feel good, you can also reach your left hand up overhead, over past your ear, and then open. So this variation is called around the world. You're bringing your arm as far close to the floor as you can, tracing the floor up and open into the spinal twist, and then all the way around the world and back. And the other variation is palm together, open book, and close book. Practice both an inhale and an exhale in the open position. Practice both an inhale and the exhale in the closed position. And one more of your choice. Once you find neutral, you can press yourself up or just roll to your other side. I'm going to press myself up. And then find your way onto your left side. So start on your back if you'd like to do the same exact thing again. And move your hips over to the right. Draw your knees as high as you can get them towards your chest to come into this first, the spinal twist. Left arm reaches straight out in front of you. The right palm is over the left if possible. And just open and close. Once you're in the open position, you want your right shoulder blade to get as close to the floor as possible. And as you close, you want to bring the hands close to touching. The second variation here, of course, is the around the world variation. So you can bring your right arm all the way overhead if you don't get any pinching or any discomfort. And you can support your head as much as you want with your block or your blanket. Notice your breath. If any part of this arc feels really good, you can hang out there and take a couple of breaths, noticing the inhale and the exhale. And then bringing yourself fully into side lying, go ahead and press up to a seated position. And you can see how this feels in your own body. When in many yoga classes, there's an emphasis, in many yoga practices, there's an emphasis on back bending and an emphasis on belly breathing, both of which can cause the low ribs to kind of drift forward. And so this might look like really good posture for a lot of us, but when you take this posture and you don't change anything else except this thoracolumbar junction and you pull it back, we end up like this. So our necks are really down and forward, even though it looks really pretty, right? So focusing on this region and trying to draw your low ribs back can actually help you to strengthen the deep layers of your neck. Got it? So that's why we did the one where we're pulling the ribs back for both the bridge and the one leg out and the other leg out. Because it teaches you to pull back here and here. And now we're gonna get onto our bellies and find Sphinx pose. So the other thing that can sometimes happen in a yoga practice is we can emphasize the back bend from the low back and from the neck, because the neck does a lot of back bending. So I want you instead to draw your belly in here. I'm actually pressing into the elbows and scooping my belly in a little bit. And then keep that scoop, but pull the elbows back like in a tug of war. Press the chest forward and drop the chin. So this is a really active Sphinx pose. I'm not hanging out. I'm pushing my elbows down and I'm kind of pulling them back like a yes action. And then keeping the chin down, start to turn your head a little right and left. You can truly do any movements here that feel good, any Stevie Wonder actions. And then you can turn and let your whole thoracic spine turn and look over your right shoulder and look over your left shoulder. Over the right and over the left. Just take a couple more of these turns side to side. Continuing to keep the low abdomen engaged, drawing up and in. And then back to center. Wiggle your elbows out to the side. You can use your block or your blanket here if you'd like something just under your forehead. And make a W shape with your arms. So a W shape looks like this. And you're gonna float your hands off the floor first, and then the elbows. Hold for about 5 seconds, and release. If you get any discomfort in your low back from being belly down, you can also take your blanket and place it right under the abdomen. So not so much under the pelvis, but right under the abdomen. And again, hands up, elbows up, squeezing, but trying to keep the hands a little bit higher than the elbows. Exhale, and lower. Squeeze, hands, elbows. Keep the expression on the face nice and soft. Keep your mind present. And lower down. Hands, shoulders, elbows. And slowly release. You're going to bring your hands now behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Notice which thumb is on top. I'm starting with my right thumb on top. And squeeze your shoulder blades towards one another and your elbows up towards the sky. So you're starting with this elbow bent action. Scoop your belly, engage your glutes, firm your legs, and float your upper body up into half locust. So this is locust for the upper body. You can actually let your chin drop here. And exhale and lower down. Press one cheek to the floor or use your block like I'm doing. Switch the interlace of your fingers. Start with the knuckles resting on your sacrum. Squeeze your shoulder blades back. Float the hands. And then slowly rise up. Back of the neck long. Heart lifts. Keep the hands, or try to keep the hands a little bit off the sacrum. And try to keep a tiny bend in your elbows. Again, any Stevie Wonder head moves are good. Any rocking side to side. Keeping the jaw relaxed, the face relaxed, letting the neck hang. Exhale and lower down. All right, and sweep the arms up into a V shape in front of you. And for good measure, let's do a thumbs up. We'll inhale and reach the right arm and the left leg, nice and long. Keep the neck in line with the rest of the spine, which means your chin's going to be down a little closer to your chest than it might normally be. Exhale and lower down. By the way, if your breath doesn't match what I'm cueing, that's totally fine. Left thumb up, left arm, right leg. Keeping the chin down forces you also to engage those deeper neck flexors, and it forces you to lengthen rather than rely upon the tiny little muscles at the base of the skull, your suboccipitals. So when you do back bends in a regular yoga class, you can lower on down now. Feel free to sweep your feet a little side to side with bent knees. And let's do one more time each side. Right arm, left leg, and foot up. So if you think about this as you go into back bends, keeping the back of the neck really long, that alone will be something valuable for your neck, because you're over-relying on your suboccipitals, these tiny muscles when you look forward, and you're not accessing, you're losing out on opportunity to gently hold your head up against gravity using the deeper neck flexors. Lengthen and lower, wiggle your hips. And other side, left arm, right leg, reach, scoop. Spread your toes, lift your thumbs. Just breathe. Exhale and lower. Move your block out of the way, sweep your feet side to side. And reach your legs out, walk your hands back. Press up into a table position. You can get your blanket out of the way completely. Have your block nearby just in case you want it. And we're gonna start from table just doing a few cat and cow shapes. So as you inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades back, chest forward, really focusing on shoulder blades away from the head. And again, making sure not to look forward with your chin. Keep your chin down towards the floor. Exhale and push up towards the sky. And another thing that will help you, in addition to drawing in from your belly and broadening that thoracolumbar junction, is to keep a little bit more weight on your hands than usual and really poof that part of your spine towards the sky. And of course, go at your own pace a few more times. It can be your breath pace, or it can be a slower pace. And then again, in neutral, curling your fingers in. Bring your weight onto your right hand. Left arm's gonna sweep up to the sky. Try to create a nice long line from your wrist to wrist. And then dive the left arm under. You can hang out here on your elbow if you'd like. Or if it's reasonable for you, block is optional here. You can lower down onto the outer left shoulder and rest your head either on the block or the floor. So it'll be the left side of your head. Use your right arm now to again try and create some thoracic rotation. Make sure the neck is relaxed, chin moving downward towards the chest. You can do all sorts of little wags of your tail here. Couple of breaths. And then let's press into the right hand. Rise up to table pose and sweep the right arm to the sky. First find the length wrist to wrist and then dive under. Coming onto the right outer shoulder, pressing into the left hand, resting your head. So the thighs get vertical here, stay vertical here. You can use your blanket to cushion your knees if you'd like. And you can use your left hand, like I mentioned before, to really create more rotation in your upper back. All right, come on back to table pose. Unwinding. Set your block again at the front of your yoga mat. And then walk your hands out. Rest your forehead down onto the floor. Thighs are still vertical. And if it's reasonable, you can grab the block with your palms. Keep your forehead down. Bend your elbows so that the block sweeps over your head. If you have any shoulder problems, this might not feel really good. So if that's the case, then open your arms into a V shape and just hang out in the V shape. If your neck is really, really mobile, and this is totally fine and you don't have any neck pain, you can also bring your chin to the floor and gently, very gently dig a hole in here. So you're still working on stabilizing your neck, even as you open your shoulders and your upper chest. And release down. Wiggle the elbows back, coming into a forearm table position. So you're in table pose, but on your forearms instead of your elbows. And just dig into the floor. Round yourself up into cat pose. Relax for a moment. Press into the floor. Round yourself up. All the way out. Shake out your head a little bit. And relax. And last one, press down and round up. And relax. Curl your toes under. Interlace your fingers. Chop the outer edges of your hands into the floor. And then rise up into forearm and downward facing dog. Also known as dolphin. You can shake your head out here. Nod it up and down. Really push into the floor so you get some space. And this action of pushing into the floor and creating space for your neck will actually help your neck. Lower your knees right back down to the floor. And then walk your hands out in front of you. This is what I call active child's pose. So toes are curled under, pinky toes, everything's pointing forward. Hands are gripping in. You can also turn your fingers out just a little bit and see if that helps your wrists. And then rise your hips up to the sky, finding your way into downward facing dog, keeping the arms strong and steady, but again, shaking out your head left and right. There's a few different schools of thought and ways to teach downward facing dog or to practice downward facing dog. I'm a fan of keeping the head loose and relaxed here, but keeping the arms really, really active. So strong, straight elbows, firm, pushing into the floor. This is what I call teacher pick-me arms, right? Because you're really, really reaching, but you're still able to relax through the neck. And then walk your hands all the way back towards your feet so that you end up at the back of your yoga mat in Uttanasana. Knees are going to be pretty deeply bent here. I want you to have a nice bend in your knees so that your belly can rest on your thighs. And interlace your fingers behind your back. Drive your knuckles up towards the sky. Try to keep a little bend in your elbows. And if reasonable, you can start to bring the arms a bit past vertical overhead. I recommend still keeping a bend in the knees here. Shift a little right and left. Shake out your head. And then bring the hands back down. Switch the interlace of your fingers. Drive the knuckles up towards the sky. Shake out your head a little left and right. Bring the arms past vertical if that works for your body. Keeping just a micro bend at the elbows if you can. Release the hands. Bring the hands down to the floor. And again, shake out the head really thoroughly now. You can even add a little bounce from the legs to create so much length in the spine. Good, hands to the knees. Begin to scoop through the front body, rounding, rolling, stacking up from the support of the musculature of the front body, and letting the head be the very, very last thing to come up. We'll step the right foot forward, and keep the left foot back. And inhale, interlace the fingers, crescent lunge. Bring the hands to the back of the head. Drop the chin a little, press the elbows forward and the head back into the hands. And then also take your low ribs back so that you're retraining the thoracolumbar region, You're retraining these deep neck flexors of the head to stay more in neutral in this position. Take it forward 45 degrees. Keep your chin down, elbows wide. Gently press your head into your hands. Very little space between your chin and your chest. And then hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Go ahead and shake out your head left and right. Energize the arms. Notice how energetic your arms can be without tensing your neck. Another thing you'll hear sometimes from yoga teachers is the idea of shoulders back and down. But when your arms are overhead, that doesn't make any sense. So you want to bring your shoulder blades up. Well, and notice that you can still keep your neck pretty relaxed in that shape. And then walk your hands all the way back towards your feet. From the back of your yoga mat, Uttanasana, shaking out your head, nodding it up and down. Again, hands to the knees, roll up and stack. Head's the last thing to come up. We'll step the left foot forward. Finding crescent lunge, take the opposite thumb on top. Arms reach. Notice the back bend quality of this. And then see what you can change before we bring the hands to the back of the head. So low ribs, chin down, low ribs, chin down. Hands to the back of the head. Lightly press. Keep that energy of strengthening without popping out the muscles at the front of the neck. Take it forward 45 degrees. Pretend you have a lemon that you're holding under your chin and try to keep it there. Make sure you can even take one of your hands and palpate the front of your neck and make sure that nothing's popping out, but that you're still very gently pressing into the hand that's up. Good. Bring both your hands to your front knee, and this time we're going to just pivot on the back foot, turn it out, and rise up. So, legs are prepped for triangle pose, and you can bend and straighten your front knee a couple of times. Make sure that the knee tracks over the middle toe, and then straighten, open your arms, and reach, reach, reach. So this might not be the deepest triangle pose that you've ever gone into. Our hips aren't terribly warm right now, but your hand's gonna land maybe at the upper shin, maybe on the block. If you take it on the upper shin, this is a preference for me. You can push your shin very, very lightly into your hand. Create a little bit of energy, extra balance, support. And then look to the floor. Stack your shoulder over shoulder. So in this case, right shoulder over left shoulder. Draw your chin back, like you have a pencil there, and then look forward. Make sure that the distance between your chin and your collarbones is the same. So if you had a pencil or pen, you would still be holding it under your chin. And then keep that pencil or imaginary pen and turn up towards the ceiling. Lower your gaze back down to the floor, and then hands to the floor, step your back foot to the front. Inhale, halfway up, chin down. Exhale, left foot to the back. Yeah. And straighten out your legs for triangle pose. Bend and straighten your front knee a couple of times just to track the whole thigh over the middle toe. Good. And then this is the neck thing that I was talking about. So when we typically go into triangle pose, we often kind of go up and around to look. And I want you to pretend that that really is there. So this time we're actually going to use the thumb to keep the proper muscles engaged. So from your triangle pose, reach the arms out, reach your right arm forward, land the hand, block or shin, wherever you like. Bring your left hand now to your thumb, left thumb to your chin, one of those. And keep the chin down towards the chest. Stack your left shoulder over the right. Keep the chin down towards the chest. Keep the thumb on the chin and start to look forward. And then slowly start to look up towards the ceiling. You might find that you stop a little before you would normally go. So you might find that typically if you go up and around, you can get your chin pointed more towards the ceiling. But if you keep your chin down, you might have to stop a little sooner. And that's okay because we're creating more stability in the neck and less tension. Left arm reaches to the sky if you feel good in your neck, if you feel like you've activated those deep neck flexors. And at the same time, you can always just keep your gaze towards the floor or keep your gaze forward. Good, bend the front knee and rise up and bring the hands to the back of your head. Gently push back, pivot on your back heel, find your way into crescent lunge again. Automatically drawing your low ribs back, head into hands. Hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Shake out your head. Left foot steps forward. Bring the hands to the back of the head. All ready. Keeping your chin down. And rise up. Exhale, take your hands down to the floor. And lower your back knee to the floor. Send your left knee back. Find your way into your child's pose. Actually just resting completely. For a practice like this, you can choose to make child's pose a very neutral shape by having your knees a little wider. And that will give you the freedom to roll your chin, roll your head a little side to side, if that would still feel really good to you. If you have your knees closer together, you just get a tiny bit more roundedness in your low back, and that makes it a little less easy to roll side to side. We'll reach the hands on either side of the knees. And slowly roll up, again, engaging the muscles of the entire front of the spine. Taking a moment in Virasana to draw the ribs back and the chin back. And then when you're ready, sweep your feet forward. Bring your hips to the center of your yoga mat. Gather anything you might want for Shavasana, like if you know you want your blanket under your knees, you can do that. And lower yourself down into your back. Interlace your fingers behind your head, but really at the base of the skull. So the lowest you would have a ponytail, and your thumbs are gonna hook under the base of the skull, maybe even massaging some of the muscles there. Squeeze your elbows up towards the ceiling, lifting your head slightly off the floor. You can also flatten your back and lift your tailbone off the floor. And as you lower down, try to get a little bit of traction and a little bit of length in your spine. Exhale, curl again. Create a little bit of length. And lower down. And third time if you wish. When you're ready, settle your head. Release your arms to the side or hands down on the belly and stretch out through your legs. Just have a few quick moments for Shavasana. So drop right in. Let your mind become fully present in this moment. Aware of heaviness of your bones. Quality of relaxation in the jaw, muscles of the face. Nice rough breathe. A little broader than the last. If you have any sighs within you, let them be released. You start to wiggle your fingers and start to wiggle your toes. Rock your chin a little side, your head a little side to side. Still keeping your eyes closed. You can even dig your heels in a little and point and flex your feet for a little up and down rocking of your whole body. When you're ready, stretch through the limbs, waking up. Turn your knees to your chest, hugging in. Please rock completely onto your right side. And then as you push into your left hand, let the head be the very, very last thing to come out. Open your eyes if you'd like to adjust your blanket or your block underneath your hips for seated. Let's bring the palms together in Anjali Mudra. Thumbs to the third eye point for kindness in our thoughts at all times about ourselves and about others. Thumbs to the lips for kindness in the words we speak, both to ourselves and to others. And most importantly, thumbs to the heart for kindness in all of our actions.